That's working, right? Is that working, cameraman? Okay, awesome.
Are we ready?
Right, Mark.
All right.
Let's go.
Welcome to our session. It's Phenomenon in Motion. My name is Heidi Dimmick. I was going to turn and read my whole profile because that's how nervous I am this morning. My name is Heidi Dimmick. I am a third grade teacher. I just finished my 19th year of teaching. I teach the art integration endorsement for Nebo School District, and I am a science teacher leader for Nebo School District for the third grade.
Important point. My name is Melanie Fillmore. I'm a Beverly Taylor Sorensen Arts Learning Specialist. I'm a dance and movement specialist in Nebo School District. I work as a integration coach, working with teachers to try to help teachers love to do dance in their classroom. That's my goal. Yeah. Okay, what we like most though is to learn about you. Now I see some of you that were in my session yesterday. It's a little bit different, but a little bit the same. I like to have us use some movement to let us know like what grade you teach or maybe a little bit more about you. So we're going to use a few dance concepts. The first dance concept we'll be working with is the idea of dance shapes. Dance shapes are positions we put our body into and we hold them. So we're not actually moving, which is like the main element of dance, right? However, it looks like we're in the middle of dancing. So somehow these dance shapes will still, if you'll go ahead and click, I'll do it with you, click, okay. So these dance shapes will still have energy in the body, they still have design, something interesting. I say to my kids, is this a dance shape? And they say, no. No, this is not a dance shape. Is this a dance shape?
Yes.
Yes. Is this a dance shape?
Yes.
Is this a dance shape? No, so it's got to have some energy in the body, okay? We're also going to use the concept of levels. Thank you. Oh, no, we'll start with size. Yeah. So size is how far our limbs are from our core. So big is not necessarily up high. We're going to get to levels in a minute. But it's how far we extend away from our center, okay? And then small is how far we pull in towards our core. So our lower grades, K through 2, will you please create a very, very, very small shape? Our upper grades, 5th and 6th, will you please create a really big shape when I say go? And our 3rd, 4th graders, will you create a shape that is medium-sized somehow? Now, if you don't fit into that, some of you might teach all the grades, you get to move instead of do shapes. And you go from big, upper grades, to small, lower grades. And if you're in preschool, just go like that. I mean, not to diminish your job, but you're like so small, I won't be able to tell when I look at you. And do we have any secondary in here? You can like jump. And if we have any administrators, I always say do the power stance with me. Okay. All right, so stand up, get your hands free, and think what size shape you're making just to communicate to us the grade you teach. Ready, steady, and go. Okay, man, I'm used to tons of really small shapes. I work a lot with lower grades, but we've got a lot of big shapes in here. I love it. And some medium size, and just a couple that are moving in and out, working with all grades. We do have secondary. She listened. Nice. And release. Awesome. Give yourself a little hand. You danced already. Nice job. Okay, thanks. So that gives Heidi and I a quick scan of, we've got a real mix today, right? Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's go to the next. We're going to work with levels now, low, middle, and high. It's not the same thing as size, right? So our levels, what I'm going to invite you to tell me with that is if you're a classroom teacher, will you get into a shape, when I say go, in a shape that's down low because you are like down in the nitty gritty, man, okay? And then we hope we have some art specialists here. If you are an art specialist of any kind, any art form, will you please get into a shape somewhere in the middle level? And if you're a dance specialist, I don't even see any of my dance colleagues. If there's a dance specialist, you're my heroes. Do a shape way up high. So let's try that again. Will you go ahead and stand up, get your hands free. And so classroom teachers are low, any kind of art specialist in the middle, a dance specialist up high, ready, go. Okay. And I won't make you stay down low. Those that are up are art specialists. Will you stay where you are? The rest of you can sit so you don't kill your knees. I know, I relate. It's hard to get down low and squat and stuff down. Art specialists, will you just all at once holler out the art form you work with? 1, 2, 3.
Visual.
Awesome. PE, visual art, music. I don't know that. No dancers. That's great. What we're doing today is cross-cutting concepts. Deals with all the art forms, right? Well, thanks. It's good to know you. Good to have you here. I'm surprising Heidi with this one.
All right.
We think that you would appreciate a little bit of the story behind how this came to be. So, do you want to go ahead? Do you want to start, and then I'll tell my version?
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a video here, so I'm a little.
I
looked over last night.
I know. I threw
Like,
it
okay.
in like at midnight.
So this is how this idea came to be. I don't know about you, like regular ed teachers, but when you were like, oh, and now we're gonna do cross-cutting concepts, and now we have these SCPs, and now we have these DCIs, and I was like, what happened to my regular science that I knew what I was doing, right? But it didn't take me long to really grasp the idea of, if I can use a phenomenon that was a really good phenomenon for my class, I can still teach all of the things that I used to teach. And so then Melanie came with the same kind of franticness.
Yeah, I wrote this down because I didn't want you to, I wanted to make sure I touched on all points quickly. Well, science and dance used to be a happy marriage in my world. There's so much movement in science, and that was my favorite thing to integrate with dance and movement with science. It was like, you use props, and it's like they embody the science concepts, and it was just awesome. And then the core changed, and Heidi used certain words. The words that started to scare me were data, observe and gather, chart and graph, and I'm like, I don't fit in there. Where do I fit in that? And I know that's not the only part of science, but here's how I felt. Uh-oh, we don't have sound with this. We didn't figure that out.
Pretty sure we can say it. Show
me the money. You know, but it's not. It's not that. So let's unplug this. No. Oh, this is putting us past our 8 minutes, Heidi. I'm in trouble. We're like, do not go over. Dance with him, guys.
Data!
I got a problem, Jerry. Does that make you feel good just to say that? Say it with me one time, Jerry.
Show you the data.
No, you can do better than that, Jerry. You say it with you with me, brother.
I got Dr. Oz on the other line. I bet he can say it. Yeah. No. Show you the data. No, not show you. Show me the data. Show me the data. Yeah. Loud. Show me the data.
That's it, brother, but you got to yell.
Show me the data. I need to feel you, Jerry. Show me the data.
Jerry, you better yell.
Show me the data. Show me the data. I love people having their data. I love people having their data. Show me the data. I love data. Congratulations, you're still my doctor.
Okay, that's kind of how I felt about data. Ah! A little bit, not as much enthusiasm though. So anyway, so one time I just grabbed Heidi, she was a science leader, and was talking to her about it, and she had a lot of insights, and I was like, I all of a sudden hooked a little chain around her and said, let's do a session together. Heidi presents all the time, and it's usually someone going, you've got to do a session. Will you do a session? She's like a wealth of knowledge there. So I roped her into it, and I would say that in that moment, what my intention was is I threw my hat over the wall. Have any of you heard that idiom, that saying? It's from an old Irish story that Ireland has a lot of big stone walls, and so the Irishman is walking along, and he comes to a big wall, and he can either walk for miles to get around it, or he takes his valuable hat and he throws it over the wall, and now he has to figure out how to climb over that wall to get his hat, or he may never find it again. And I felt like That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to say, let's sign up for Arts Express and really get this figured out, like throw my hat over the wall. And we did. And then when they said that we got accepted, then we're like, crap! We literally emailed each other, oh my gosh, we got accepted. And Heidi's like, oh my gosh, did you keep reading? Because they're videoing us. Oh my gosh. So we worked extra hard to be ready. But I share that story with you. We both really want you to know we are so with you. We are not like experts up here telling you how to do this. We are really trying to figure this out. How do we keep that valuable arts integration in there with science? And so we did some diving and we've been on a journey. It's been a 2-year journey for me, a 2-year journey for her. And we're just gonna share a few things we learned along the way. Thumbs up? Sound good? Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna start with phenomenon-centric teaching, right? Really, with this new science core, we have a phenomenon and the kids are trying to make sense of that phenomenon and be able to explain it in their own words. That's what successful teaching is. So, I was talking with Melanie and I kept saying like, okay, well, I understand you read that standard, but like, did you go to the core guide and like read through the core guide of what that actually means? And she kept looking at me like,
what's the core guide?
what's a core guide, right? So I just want to make sure that you guys know about these core guides. And so this is a this is a code.
QR code.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That'll take you to all of them, but we have each grade one. But let me just show, I'm just going to show you the 3rd grade one really quick. So when you get to this core guide, like here is the strand that it belongs to, then here's the standard that explains it. And then you have like the science and engineering practices, the cross-cutting concept, which they're supposed to learn, keep building on, and then the core, disciplinary core idea. But then it has this, it has possible phenomena to support your instruction. So if you look at it and you're like, I have no idea what my phenomenon should be, there are some examples there. And then it says, this is what proficiency looks like for that standard. And then this is, so it repeats. Everything we do in science repeats. K2, 3, 5, 6, 8. So it says, this is what they did before. Well, I always say this is what they did before because I live in this middle one, right? This is what they did before, this is what they're doing with me, and this is where I've got to take that information. That's where they're going to take that information. And then it has these sentence stems for using the academic language for their understanding. But these words to support the discourse related to the disciplinary core ideas, that's where Melanie was able to find a lot of the things that she had been doing before. It doesn't say it up there in that standard, but it talks about it down here in this. So I just wanted to show you a few. So here's some examples for some kindergarten phenomenon that they're supposed to learn, like why don't you wear flip-flops in the middle of winter, kind of things.
Can I interject as
Yes.
you go through all these? Heidi had shared with me, it was an aha for her when working with science leaders in the state and in our district, that it was like, it's all about the phenomenon. And that was when you were like, okay, right? So that's one of the major points that that Heidi's working with here is it's all about the phenomenon. And it's the same for the art specialists. For what we do, it's also all about whatever phenomenon the classroom teacher is working with for a unit. So sorry, yeah.
Nope, you're good. So then here's some example of 1st grade ones. Why is my shadow different lanes at different times of the day? 2nd grade. And like I said, you have this presentation, you should have this presentation, but if you just scan that whatever grade level you are, it'll take you right to your core guides for these things. Some of these ideas came from those core guides, some came from our district level people. These are our 3rd grade ones. We have some people in our neighborhood, in my school neighborhood, that they do like, they breed their dogs, and so then like try and figure out what traits they get from which parent. Some 4th grade phenomenon, right? The difference between like the force used in this kick versus the force used in that kick. 5th grade phenomenon. 6th grade phenomenon, I would have to get my science leader to, I don't know, I finally said to him, like, could you just send me some 6th grade phenomenon? So there it is.
Wait, in our district, 6th grade in the last couple of years got moved into middle school. I won't lie, it's nice. It's freed up
I'm from
space. They built
Georgia,
middle
so
school.
this whole 6th grade and elementary school is like way down.
Oh, that's different for you. Got it.
Yeah, so that's why I had to ask, because I didn't have a 6th grade teacher to go be like, hey, what are you doing anymore? They're not with us. Okay, so Melanie and I actually collaborated on my whole weather unit. So before Melanie came to my class, this is the phenomenon we use to understand weather and climate. And so what my kids have been doing all year, so we start the first day of school and we chart the weather, the typical weather conditions, and different things about weather the whole entire year. And we don't do weather until spring. So I give my kids this picture and I say to them, well, actually, we do a whole notice, wonder, you know the thing that you did yesterday? We do that whole thing with this picture,
Cool.
right?
Like with the keynote?
Yes, so if you go back to the keynote from yesterday, what do you see and what do you notice and what do you wonder, right? They always talk about why this is brown, this is really brown, and this is really green. And so then, as they're wondering these things, then Melanie came in and did a weather lesson with them. So she's gonna do that now with you.
We are. We did several weather lessons actually. So in the slideshow, you can click on this on this image. So click on that. We can actually go to the lesson plan. We won't do all of it. We took probably 2 or 3 sessions to cover everything that was in this, but we were also creating some choreography that kids from her class performed at a district dance festival. And so it was kind of like an informants type dance where we talked about the weather as they danced about it. So I won't lie, I was thinking about the choreography. And after the fact, I was like, now wait, how does this fit in? And again, the conversations were going on, and she'll talk more about that in a minute. But she had set up a phenomenon. And then here we are, we're gonna cover, there's 8 main elements of weather, and these elements interact to create weather patterns and climate. Oh, thank you. Please keep reminding me of that. She goes, you're in my way. I don't want to do that. Okay. So go ahead and if you'll click to the next one.
We're trying to swap.
Oh, good, I did. Thank you. Okay. So we looked at what they are, and then we experimented with some dance experiences for each of those. So we're going to do today just temperature and precipitation, okay? So we're going to do this first one kind of just right where you are in your seat. So if you'll take a minute to make sure you have some space, you don't have anything underfoot, if you're willing to, have your hands free or whatever. So Heidi's class had already been gauging some weather patterns with thermometers, so they kind of already knew how this worked, but I asked them, so when it gets really hot, what happens to that red line? It goes up. Okay, and that means it's getting hotter or colder? Hotter, right? We just said that. And when it's really cold, what happens to the red line? Okay, and what does it mean if the red line's kind of in the middle? Feels good outside. Great. And I called that moderate temperature. The temperature is kind of in the middle temperature. Let's use our levels to play a little game with this. When I say go, will you stand up and just maybe kind of spread out a little bit if you can, right where you are. Ready, set, go. Stand up, spread out a little bit. I'm going to move our sound back over here. When I say hot, will you show me a shape up high? When I say cold, will you show me a shape down low? When I say middle or moderate, will you show me a shape in the middle? And we will do this without music apparently. We'll fix that later, okay? Okay. There you go. I like a little background music because it kind of is what makes it magical in a lot of ways. All right, everybody, show me what hot looks like. Oh, good. Now look around for a minute and see if you can make your up high shape different than anybody else's. How could you do that? Maybe change your arms a little bit, add a twist in your back. Maybe add your legs in different ways, right? Okay, there we go, hot. And show me cold. The thermostat goes way down low. Show me a moderate temperature, a middle temperature, excellent. Hot, cold, hot, middle, and release. And we'll play that, and we'll get going faster and faster, and we see who can keep up with it. And then we get maybe a helper, and we call out numbers instead. So Heidi, do you want to be our number color outer?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. I'll dance with you.
90. 32. 57. 3.
Oh.
85. 70. 27. 64.
One more.
72.
And notice, we're not going to do any negative degrees because we'd have to go underground and that won't work. So, good job. Have a seat. So then I might have to get with a partner and play with that with each other. Just the idea that when it's hot, our temperature number rises, our thermostat line rises. When it's cold, it's the opposite. Okay, now precipitation, we're gonna go. So this talks through the activity and explains it and all of that. We had a lot of fun with wind. We talked about the instruments that measure these each time, and I didn't do this very well at the time, but at this point I would ask more questions and try to see more problem solving. How would this instrument measure wind and why, and how would it move in certain situations? But we're gonna go to rain or precipitation. So we look at the instrument and we talk about how would they make their own rain gauge out in their own yard, and it really should be a precipitation gauge, not a rain gauge. Am I saying that word right? Gauge? Gauge. It looks like I should say gauge. Okay, so we're going to go through our 4 different types of precipitation. When I say go, I'm going to invite you to come get a scarf and to spread out, not clear to the edges of the gym. Maybe let's stay on this half, but we're going to do a bigger movement experience now and spread out. So you're each going to take one of these. Now I always have to troubleshoot. If I see anyone whacking, I'm going to take it. We don't really have time to get all into that, but please know that, of course, anytime we hand out props, we do some troubleshooting with our kids and lay down some expectations. So I'm just going to swirl these along here, and we're going to use these lovely dance scarves to help us express the different types of precipitation. Ready, set, go. Come grab one. Spread yourself out. Hopefully you have lots of personal space around you, and spread out throughout the room. That's just what I needed. What did I just do? Can't seem to get that any louder. Go find your dance spot and go ahead and start to play. and sleet coming the side. Back to a liquid form, and then it freezes again, and it melts again, and by the time it comes to the earth, it's just really confused. So sleet, I'm just going to say, let's do kind of some slashing moves. Sleet kind of comes down, kind of wet and fleshy. Sometimes it kind of melts you a little bit, kind of like you have to try to breathe along the way. Wonderful. Let's review them all. Show me snow. And you have permission to move throughout the room, not just in place. Show me sleet. Show me rain. Oh, there's a fun idea, bringing it to the earth. And sometimes I'll stop and take different ideas to the room, and we'll do them all together, like this, like this. Oh, I saw someone try rain like this. Let's do try this with me. That does kind of look like rain, doesn't it? Good, and then I might try someone else side it, someone else side it. That's a great way to honor their creativity. And hail. Let's finish with some hailstones coming down. Hiya! Ah. And 1, 2, 3, point your fabric at me. I want to see which of those 4 was your favorite. So when I say go, will you show me which of those 4 you just liked to dance it the most? That's the one you like to dance in. You like how it felt in your body. Ready? Thinking about it for a minute? Ready, set, show me, go. Isn't it interesting? I see all 4 forms of precipitation out there. I see the rain, I see some snow floating around, I see some hailstones jumping down, and some slashed sleet and freeze. Now I have a different question you're going to answer with your movement again. Which of those 4 types of precipitation do you like to see or be in that type of weather the most? Do you like it when it rains the most, snows the most, hails the most, or when it's sleety and mushy and that? You're going to show me your answer with your movement. Okay? So not just your movement, move. Same type of weather, but just dance. Ready, steady, and go! Ah. Oh, that's interesting. I see a lot of snow and a little bit of rain. This rat freeze. This person is just not dancing because she does not. She wants air. Awesome. Thank you for your participation. Go ahead and wrap them back in the pile and put them back to your chairs, to your desks per se.
That was fun to watch you guys. When Melanie did it for my class, I had like 2 boys for every girl in my room.
Yeah.
We were busy. They were busy. It was busy. A busy year, and it was like the hell because they got to jump up and throw
They
things.
loved
You know what I
that
mean?
one.
Like, it
Yeah,
was-
they were into that one.
All the
That's
time.
so true. The movement was helpful, wasn't it, for them to do it? So we'll just tie this up. We won't do any of the others, but we just have dance activities for each of them that we went through. Now, I am a big fan of moving in your classrooms, and I have a lot of suggestions that we're not covering today about how to do that. But this was an activity that we took into a bigger space, and I would recommend that. And we use the scarves sometimes and sometimes not. It certainly fits with precipitation, but sometimes we added them with the wind. Some of the others, some of them I kind of would assess, do I want them to really focus on what their body's doing, or do I want to use the imagery and the expression of the scarf? And that's a question to always ask with the use of props, and particularly scarves. So, okay, thanks.
So another thing.
This is the part that matters.
No, another thing with that lesson though is that Melanie with my kids, she did clouds, like the different cloud formations, which were not, I mean, if you look at our standard, it doesn't ever talk about the different types of clouds, right?
Yes.
But because my kids had been charting the weather and they chart like they were charting what the clouds looked like every day, they had made those connections already of like, so when she like said the names of the clouds, they're like, oh, these are the ones that happen when it rains. Oh, these are the ones when it's like fun to be outside. Like they had made those connections themselves because they had been tasked to every day notice what those look like. So there are some things that, like if you love doing clouds, they obviously have to understand clouds to really understand the precipitation, right? So sometimes when you look at those standards, you have to think about like what information do they have to have preloaded in order to be successful with what you are presenting. Because Melanie was like, I did clouds and it's not part of your core. And I was like, okay, but it is, just in its
Well,
yes.
an important piece
Yes.
of this is I loved the dance activity that I had for clouds. We had great, I was looking for pictures, but on the wrong computer, I forgot to plug them in there, but big billowy paint fabric, and they'd get in groups of 4, and they would, and they'd show cumulus clouds, or they'd like move across with this big thing that looked, and make straws. It was just so fun, and so I just did it anyway, because I thought it would look cool in the choreography. But then, yeah, that was the concern, and that's kind of part of our message, is Heidi still took it and plugged it in. It still was valuable information. It was a fun artistic experience that they'll remember that can apply to the phenomenon and the concept.
Yeah.
Okay?
Their 4th grade teachers talked about whether, I don't even remember what it was, but they came in at lunch and they were like, what is this dance about weather that I'm supposed to understand what was going on? Right, so it was one of those things that was memorable for my kids for the year. So then after Melanie was done with that, and it was very fun. They got to go with like the high school kids and do a whole dance thing, and they showed off what they knew about things, and they loved it. But then we came back to this phenomenon of Cairo, Egypt, and Miami, Florida are on the exact same latitude. I always say the wrong one. Latitude. Yes, on the same line. So then why is this brown and this green when it's the same time of year? And so the kids took what they had learned about weather and weather patterns and all those things, and they made the connection like it's the amount of precipitation is the difference between why it looks different from each other. So we really can help them to understand more of the science when they feel it in their bodies.
Right.
Or have an experience with it. Besides me just talking or them just looking at like graphs. Yes?
Sorry.
No.
Do you guys teach 2 separate classes?
So I am a regular ed teacher in my own 3rd grade classroom, and Melanie comes in as a art specialist.
Yeah,
so
that's a great question.
Nebo does things a little bit different. Like our BTS person isn't just like assigned to the school to teach all day in one room. They come co-teach with the teachers. It's delightful. And then we rotate, so we get one
Different
art
art
form
forms.
every year. So every 4 years, we like repeat the art form, which I love. Maybe Melanie doesn't love, but I love that my kids get that exposure. Also, it helps me to be able to collaborate, to be able to really talk about what we're learning.
Yeah, so she was able to tie it back into the phenomenon, or tie the dance experience that we had in with the phenomenon. And to me at the time, that was the other aha, and this was before I even said, let's do a session together. It was before that, where I was like, I keep finding, I have all these lesson plans that teach concepts, teach science concepts, and we dance about it, and but that doesn't seem to fit this pattern of looking at a phenomenon and observing, and so she kind of helped open my eyes to that, about that connection. Well, if I had started that whole thing, as we talked about temperature, precipitation, I could, as an art specialist, connect back to what the phenomenon was that they had observed. And then the arts experience is much more rich, much more applicable, and it feels like it really has its place in the process. Yeah. Right? Okay, this is you, right?
Yep, it's
Both
you.
of us? Well, you go first and then I'll elaborate.
Okay, so like I said before, these concepts and standards, like living things, are taught in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, right? Earth changes. There's something in each of these 5 strands that we just build on every year, right? And then we have these cross-cutting concepts that they just keep building every year. Like some of them don't start till 3rd grade or 4th grade. But with science, the whole point is that we build on knowledge. right? We're not starting from, again, if you teach kindergarten, you are starting from scratch. But by the time they get to 3rd grade, I'm making the assumption that they have already had these previous lessons taught, so I can build on what the other teacher has done.
And so we talked about how powerful that could be as an arts specialist. So who are the art specialists again in here? There were a few over there. So the idea of, with your art form, doing some of that building and scaffolding. So what would weather look like for kindergarten? Well, every day they look and observe the weather, and they put a little picture up on their calendar. This is what I've seen in a lot of kindergartens. Well, what if while they're sitting there on the carpet, they have a specific movement for each type of weather? So for wind, they all do this, you know, for the sun, they might do this, or they might do a happy skip around the room, because who doesn't love a sunny day? Or it might be rainy, you know, or it might be snowing. And so as they're observing weather patterns, they're moving it, and it starts right there at kindergarten, right? You know, or you can do a bigger weather lesson plan in different ways, of course. But then 3rd grade, we took that kind of movement quality and we plugged it into specific elements that influence weather. And then maybe in 5th or 6th grade, they are given an image, like that last image, and they're asked to use some of the knowledge they have about different ways of moving to express weather to show what is going on here, what's the phenomenon, and they have like a project they work on in that kind of sense. And so as art specialists, it's pretty powerful that we're able to maybe also build artistically, giving it a little more depth each time.
Okay, so this is what I had to keep telling Melanie over and over and over again. Because she was like, but my favorite thing, but my favorite. You don't have to throw out your favorite lessons, right? We just need to make some changes to them. So you want to make sure your art lessons connect to the phenomenon, making adjustments, planning good questions, and knowing what answers you want the kids to give you is really important. And then collaborate, right? Like, not for 1 second do I think I'm a dance expert, right? Let's be honest, if I didn't have Melanie, there's other arts that I'm really good at doing. Dance isn't one of them. That's why I need Melanie in my life, right? And so I think that sometimes as teachers we get really isolated in our own classrooms and we don't reach out to people who have some ideas that would make our lives easier and just be like, hey, I'm teaching this concept, like this is my phenomenon. Do you have any ideas? Because I have found with our art specialists, if I can go with them, give them a phenomenon, they normally have fantastic things to be able to use.
Yeah. So I would really encourage communication both ways. If you're a classroom teacher and you have an art specialist at your school, to tap them in that way. Here's the phenomenon, because art really, not just dance, but the arts, there's so much in science, it's really fun. But I can speak, I can say I'm not the only art specialist struggling to find our place in the science core now, right? Like, for one, we're just learning it all over again. But I see a lot of art projects happening that don't actually tie in to what's happening with the classroom teacher, and it could. So I hope you'll reach out. And then art specialists, that would be one way to really boost our value to classroom teachers, is what phenomenon are you working on? Oh, I've got this cool art project that we can do that supports that phenomenon, and help make that connection.
And one more thing, the other thing we talked about was, like, you can't just search water cycle anymore. Like, if you search water cycle, it doesn't come up at all. But obviously you have to understand the water cycle, because if you're trying to make sense of like where the water comes from for a rain, you have to have these conversations, right? So a lot of the things that you've taught that you love are just embedded a little bit deeper in these lessons.
Yeah, and so the next two subjects we're talking about is where to plug in art experience and how to boost its value and connection. So that's how we're finishing today. But before we go along with that, does anyone else, every time you say phenomenon, want to sing the song? Okay, we are going to sing the song. Every time they say phenomena, we're going to say either phenomena, which is the plural version, or phenomenon with an N, or if you want to just for fun sing phenomenon. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to ask you all to sing nice and loud and clear. or phenomena. You're welcome to dance in your seat. Come on, rock it out where you are. We love our phenomena. There you go. Phenomena. One more time. Phenomena. I just always want to do that when I say that word. Thanks for playing. All right. This was fascinating to me, what we're about to approach. So I went and met with the 2 science specialists in my district, and we just talked, and I took pages of notes, and here were some really important nuggets that they got in that conversation. And then talking with Heidi, I'm like, yeah, okay. If we're plugging an arts experience in at the beginning of our unit, at the beginning of a science unit, the arts experience ought to be an actual phenomenon, not a representation or an example of a phenomenon. You need a bona fide actual phenomenon to introduce a unit. That would be good teaching, right? That would be phenomenon-centric teaching. So the arts experience, it can be at the beginning, and we are going to do something with that in a minute, but it's not usually our best match for an arts integrated experience, okay? But the middle is kind of our magic place for our arts integration. In the middle, the arts experience can be an exploration of the science topic. It can be a model. That's one of the words I grasp onto into the core, create a model. I can do that with dance and movement. And so all the art forms, you can create a model somehow of the science concept, or an exploration or model of the phenomenon. There we go. Okay. Now, if we're going to plug an arts experience in right at the end, then it would be a great place to let it be like a kind of a summative assessment, kind of an example of how much do my kids understand about this. You could make it an official grade, or you could just let it be for you as a teacher. And anytime that you invite creativity from students about a certain topic, you will have a good idea of their depth of knowledge with that, right? So we're going to show some examples of this. So if we're going to place an arts experience at the beginning, one of the main dance lesson plans that I love, that I can think of would be a great introduction to the concept of force and motion and push and pull, is this fun dance project that we're going to do together. And I forgot to bring my stuff up here. Who would be willing to run back there and grab me a ball? Really? Thank you. Okay. We get to use the whole gym now. This is one of my few lesson plans. We use the whole gym, so we can make that work. We're going to get in partners, and of course you have to do some major troubleshooting with this. Say, are you dancing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, as partners, we're gonna take care of each other. We want to make sure nobody gets hurt, okay? And we're gonna choose who is partner A and who is partner B. So we'll have Heidi be partner A and I'm partner B, okay? All right, so partner B holds the ball. Okay, let's actually switch sides. And actually, I'm just gonna stop there and then I'll guide you through it. So let's have you each get an elastic band. Over there are the balls. Get with a partner and spread yourselves out. Figure out who's A and B. B holds the ball and listen for instructions. Here we go. Who needs a climb? Okay. I have a bowl right here. I'm gonna use both mics. Okay, partner A. Oh, we didn't get a, yeah, do you want to work together there? Thank you. Partner A, you're going to grab the sides of those elastic bands and give a nice tug as you walk backwards 2 or 3 steps. Go, pull, pull, pull. Oh, there's people there. My God, I'm so sorry. Okay. What can I fit in here a minute? Thank you. What happens? Yeah. How hard do you have to pull to make them move? Try it. Ready, go. Okay, and stop. So now just try it with a little bit of force. Partner A, ready, go. Just a little bit of force. And stop. Now try it with a lot of strong force and see if you can take that partner moving with you. Ready, go! And stop. And then I have them talk for a minute. What just happened? Why? How was the amount of force that you used? How did it affect what happened with your partner, right? Okay. And you might play with that. Then you change partners. Well, let's do our push also here. So partner B, you're gonna hold your ball right up in front of you like this, okay? Can I be partner A for a minute? Okay, thank you. Partner A, let's see what happens with this push and pull sensation. Feel it in your body and try to recognize what causes things to happen, to go, to stop. So if I were to pull really hard and then push, and then pull, and then push. You doing okay there? Don't let your partner get hurt. But yeah, go for it. Have a little fun with that. Ready, set, pull and push. Feel the force in your body. Now, if you are partner A, I want you to pay attention to how hard you have to work to make that person move. You have the amount of force that you exert will result in the motion, the movement, right?
All right, girl. You had fun with that one.
And freeze. Now partner B, I want you to feel in your body what it feels like to have force exerted on you. Taking you one direction, pushing you another direction. What is that? Can you feel the actual energy of the force in your motion and in what's being exerted upon you? So let's go ahead and, I would ask that question and then do it again, but we're gonna switch partners now instead of later for the sake of time. And think about that, both the person exerting force and the person feeling the force in your body. Ready, set, go. And breathe. Now let's see, let's try, if you take, so let's stick with the same lead partner. Partner B is our lead partner. Partner B, what happens if you exert force to the right, to your right? What happens if you exert force to the left? Who would be a volunteer with me for a minute? Anyone? No one trusts me anymore. I yanked you too hard over there. Okay, right here, thank you. Okay, so I'll be you. What happens if my force goes this way, or this way, or this way? I'm not just pulling straight towards me, to the sides, right? See what that feels like. Maybe you even create some centrifugal force. But just not for too long. All right, ready, set, go, try it. Feel how the force is working different. The force moves using the force. But feel how the exertion, the push and the pull, is working differently as you take it different directions. Okay, and stop. Good work, good work. Let's trade the ball one more time so partner A is leader again. Will you try fast and slow? Will you try pulling slowly? Ready, go. Will you try pushing slowly? and then freeze, and then I'd have them talk with their partner about how that relates to the amount of force they're exerting, right? So then they'll do it fast, do it fast, do it fast, go fast, pull, watch out, pull fast, and stop, push, actually pull and then push fast, pull, push fast, and stop. And then talk with your partner about how that feels different and why, and is the force you're exerting different, and on, right, okay? Okay, and freeze. Now, for what we're going to be getting into a little bit, this exercise, originally when I did it, there was no questioning. There was no stop and talk with your partner. There was no observe what happened or anything like that. It was just, let's just play with it. And we talked about like partner A represents force and partner B represents motion. And let's see what force and motion is. Go. But what I'm trying to do is inject that questioning more. And like we experience something with dance and then we kind of observe and talk about it and do that. Like we're supposed to help them figure these things out themselves. So I'm trying to do more of that, and then this would be an example of what I used to do and what I do now. Okay, I'm gonna ask everyone but this lovely couple if they'll stay right where they are, and if the rest of you will put your stuff away and come gather standing around right here. They are good sports. Okay. And they are good sports to let us gather. Let's do maybe like, let's have you, because we've got a camera over here, and we'll have you guys come right here and go sideways to them. Yeah, thank you. Come gather around. Now, I observed something. I want to see if you observe the same thing I do. Okay? Come on over. And I asked for their permission to be our examples here. So we have partner A and we have partner B. Let's watch them play around with push and pull. Ready, go. Pull and push. Keep going, keep playing, just a little bit more. Okay, and hold there, wherever is good, yeah. Okay, now let's switch. Who's partner B is exerting force. Partner A is showing us the motion. Let's see what happens. Ready, go. And I'm just watching this going, oh yes, we need to talk. And release. Awesome, give them a hand. Oh yeah, take a bow, for real, take a bow. And so we won't take the time to do it, but I think you know the conversation that can ensue, right? Where someone's taller, someone's shorter, where she's just like, it was really easy for this person to yank this little person around, and then vice versa. It was really difficult for her. So how that plays into force and motion and that kind of thing. So give yourselves a hand for that one. It's a fun one, isn't it? And so the idea of students feeling the concept in their bodies is a really powerful way to work with science topics and phenomena. This is an example of my music changed to not the pleasanty sounding music. This is an example of how what was happening is an actual phenomenon. When I pull that elastic, what happened to the other person? When I pushed on the ball, what happened? When someone bigger than someone else is pushing and pulling, there's a different kind of phenomenon. Why? So this would be an example of an arts experience actually being a phenomenon. And then you'd have to keep working with it throughout your unit, right? Or come up with new phenomena. So that doesn't happen very often, and I'm not even sure I would make this the push and pull, force and motion phenomenon. But it's an example of it could be, when a lot of other arts experiences, or dance experiences that I know couldn't be. All right, let's head back. Thank you, thank you. I might just keep using this mic. Is that okay, cameraman? Okay, awesome. Well, we can get the music going and everything. Okay, so we gotta be faster on the rest. How are we on time? Okay, does that include? Okay, great. Or maybe it's a little much. All right. That's for my dance stuff, right? Okay, so now, when the arts experience is injected into the middle of our units, this is usually a really good, happy place for arts integration to happen. the arts experience most naturally fits in the middle of a science unit as a form of concept exploration. The arts experience is an excellent way to fulfill the science and engineering practice of creating and using models. So we already mentioned this. And the arts experience is perfect for expanding understanding of the disciplinary core guides or ideas, right, the DCIs. So one example, this is where I don't feel like I have to do all my science lesson plans all over again. This is where a lot of them are fitting in this spot, and I'm just trying to make sure it's connecting to phenomenon. I'm trying to do more questioning with it. So this is a fun one for 5th grade. They learn about potential and kinetic energy, and so they will already be familiar with what it is. We might do a quick review. Potential energy, kinetic energy, and then we learn the 2 dance concepts of shape, which you've already learned today, and motion, which is any kind of moving at all. It's the main element of dance is to move. And so once we play around with those, we learn what shapes are, and we play with some different types of shapes to create dance language for the students. So they have some ideas brewing and being developed. So I'm going to skip this part with us, and then we'll get up and dance together. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I want you to feel what it feels like to stand up and and develop a little bit of comfort with movement. So as we go into the next section of this lesson plan, you can feel how that supports and helps you as a student in this moment, how it helps them. Well, everyone go ahead and stand up where you are, and can you please try, we're going to go through these fast. Can you try a curvy shape? Go. Can you try a zigzag shape? Go. Can you try a shape that's straight? Can you try a shape that's balancing? Ooh, can't move because it's straight. And release and have it set. And we talked about motion, what motion is. You guys stay standing. Let's try some different types of motion. Let's try just a jump. Go. Try a swing. Careful of your neighbors. Try a turn. Try a jab. What's a jab? Anything that moves kind of away from the body. You might feel kind of like a ninja. And swoop. And swoop. And twist. A twist is different than a turn. And have a seat. So we talked about which matches to which. Would potential energy go best with shape or motion? Shape. All right, excellent. And kinetic energy, would that go best with shape or motion? Motion. Yeah, right? So we're going to use dance shapes to represent potential energy. We're going to use motion to represent kinetic energy. We talked about what the word kinetic means. It means motion. We're going to talk about dance shapes, how dance shapes have energy. It looks like you're in the middle of a dance, so some movement's about to happen again, right? So everyone stand up, and here we go again. We're going to look at these little videos, these gifts. If it's potential energy that you see, you're going to freeze in a shape. If it's kinetic energy that you see, you're going to do some kind of movement or motion. If you'll notice, my lesson plan has music links. You can click on this little boom box right here, and it'll pull up some background music. Yeah. So you have access to our Phenomenon in Motion slideshow, and that slideshow connects to these slideshows. It links to them. Yeah. All right, everybody, let's do just a couple of these for fun. Using some integrated arts concepts to play with the original. And one of these was the phenomenon, I can't even remember which one, but one of these was the phenomenon that the teacher had worked with. Probably the first one I used, the rock. And so that connected in, right? So that's when I was starting to get a little better at this. Still figuring it out. The whole last semester, I'm like, teachers, please sign up for science integrated lesson plans and help me get experience. And there weren't as many as I would have liked. Okay, so how long do I have? 8 minutes maybe? Sorry, I'm making you my timekeeper. I should be the timekeeper.
9 minutes.
9 minutes, okay. So when we put an arts integrated experience at the end of our science unit, like we talked about, it could be a great way to summarize what you've learned or to assess how students are doing with what you learned. Oh, say more here. That's the stuff you erase before the presentation. When you pull this up, that won't be there. So one of my favorite lesson plans was weathering, erosion, and deposition. And it was such a great integrated idea where we use we learned about axial movement, which is movement that stays. Anyway, we had some good dance integrated concepts. I'll get into that in a minute. And I brought this lesson plan this is a 5th grade lesson, and I brought it to a 5th grade class. And I did what I always do, and I taught these things. I taught what weathering is, and what erosion is, and what deposition is. And that's not bad, like that's not a problem. The teacher was kind of like, well, I'm not sure where I would use this exactly. Like they do need to know, they did learn what that was, and this kind of reviewed that for them. But what they really need to learn are the different, help me, spheres, the hydrosphere, geosphere, and atmosphere, and how those interact to create weathering and erosion, right? So the next time I did this, we did review weathering, erosion, and deposition, and we did link the 2 dance concepts, and we're going to do that in a second. And then they were given a movement assignment. So here's what we got to do. We're going to go through this a little bit. I'm going to give you the assignment, and then we're going to have to do like a mini version of the assignment. Sound good? Okay. So weathering and erosion. So we're also going to learn about axial locomotor shape. Axial movement stays in place. It's any type of movement that stays in place. Twist, bend, jab, we've already done. We just did some axial movement with our kinetic energy. All those words I used were axial movement words where you stay in place. Locomotor movement is any kind of movement that travels to a new location. So walk, slide, and it's anything, but I use some words that might fit well with the idea of erosion. Walk, slide, scoot, roll, turn, tiptoe, jog, hop, jump, those can all be. So then we learned about dance shapes. And so we learned axial movement, locomotor movement, dance shapes, and we used some specific words to describe dance shapes that might help with where we're going with this. Curve, jagged, arched, pointy, high, low, and again, we're setting up movement vocabulary for students to be successful creatively, to create some dance and movement ideas. So we reviewed weathering is the process of rocks breaking down right where they are. Erosion is the process of like rock and soil transporting from one place to another, right? So which one goes with which, right? So axial movement, I'm just giving you the answers for the sake of time. So weathering is like axial movement. Things are happening right in place. It's not traveling anywhere. Erosion is like locomotor movement. The soil, the dirt actually goes somewhere, just like locomotor movement actually travels and goes somewhere. Deposition, we use the idea of shape. Deposition is where the soil and the dirt will get moved and then it will reform in a new location. And then that might only be for a second, or it might be for years, but we used shape with deposition. So there needs to be a little bit of familiarity with that. But then, here's what we're gonna do for the next 5 minutes here. I'm gonna invite you to get into groups of about 3 or 4. We're not really able to do this. I don't know, let's see.
Just take 5 minutes.
Okay, we can do it. Okay, you're going to have a picture some kind of landform or area. It's not just a landform. Some of these are like water, and it's going to say where it is. It's going to say what's caused it to look like it looks. And then I'm going to invite you to use movement to express how this happened. Now, this is not an easy assignment. So they spent a good half hour working on their final projects, and I was coming around and helping them with different things. But they were to start in a shape and that represented some kind of form, landform or area, and then they were to use movement to express how did weathering and erosion affect that area, and then they were to finish in some kind of like a redeposition of a reassembling of the elements. And then we've got, really what time is it? I don't want to cut it short. We're really not going to pull that one off. Let's not do it. I'll just finish explaining it. Does that sound okay, guys? Yeah. How fast could we do this? Let's start here. Is this making sense to you? If you were to jump up and move this, you feel fairly confident? Okay, then we can do this way faster than 5th graders, right? Okay, so I'm going to hand this out. You are welcome to use this. One of the things we did was use scarves. We set it up, we built it up, we used scarves to express what that looks like. Will you get in a group, get a picture you want to work with? If you want to use scarves to represent water or wind or pressure or anything like that, you can, and come get a picture, and you have 3 minutes to put together shape, motion, shape, go. Deposition, deposition, weathering, erosion, and then deposition.
You guys want to do it right here? Or you guys already have it? Okay.
So scarves are an excellent resource or tool for science integration. So scarves are a great way to express a lot of different ideas in science.
Elias Mountains look like a huge alpine highway. Glaciers are
Okay, yellow scarves. We need yellow and orange scarves. Hot.
You're there. Steve, right past
Make them stretch hot. And then I should keep these hot. Yes. See? It's black.
And then you start to move, and it will form like a tree. You guys are smart. Someone has to be like, and then I'm down here. Well, you got actually add to your tree too. I could like see part of it.
Well, you have to.
I'm gonna add to your tree too. I'll be
All right, are we good? Yeah, stay out here, stay out here. Stay out with your groups. Okay, so I'm going to quickly model what this would actually look like from here, okay? I'm just going to choose one group to perform for us. Really wants to perform for us. Oh. All right, so I have everyone gather around, like, so if we're in a classroom, we set up the stage. We're going to make this stage. Everybody else, come on over, and I would normally invite students to sit on their scarves, and their hands are off scarves. But don't worry about that for now. And we would take a minute to, this isn't theirs, where's your picture? Okay, and I would probably pull this up on the projector, but make sure everyone sees the image. And then, all right, yes. There's the shape. Ooh. Oh, good hand. Now, here's where the really important learning would take place right now. No, we're not going to do it, but you're teachers, so you know what's going to happen. We're going to talk about what did we see? What did it represent, right? I saw wind and I saw water, and we maybe have to do it again. Where's the wind and what's happening, and how did it affect the elements, right? How did the water going through the middle affect the elements? So they might perform it again, we talk about it, and we look at that picture and discuss those elements happening in that movement representation. So I wish we could demonstrate all of you today, because I saw some beautiful performances. Give all of you a big round of applause. We have just a few things to finish with today. Go ahead and drop your scarves, have a seat, and we'll just tie you up with a few important pointers. You're welcome to drop your pictures up here. Yes. Oh, that's a great question. Those, it links to this, and then it links to that, and then it links. So my lesson plan here links to those pictures right here. Okay, so that links to those pictures. Good question.
Well, we just had some people like try to take pictures of it.
Yeah,
Someone already has it done.
you
It's
have
printed,
it.
it's like
You
way
have
better.
access to it. So we promised that we'd give the when, where, and how of integrating science and the arts.
So really, when we're talking about the how, our questioning matters, right? You can take a dance lesson that you've done for years and years, and the way you ask the questions and the way you get the kids thinking makes a big difference. And really, if we're looking at all of our new core, right? Like the science core guides, they're sentence stems because we're supposed to be having discussions. The new social studies core actually has like guiding questions that you're supposed to be asking the kids, and the whole point of it. Math, right? We question to deepen their understanding. And language arts, there's a speaking and listening standard. So the more questioning we can do, and not just asking questions to ask questions, but like thoughtful questions that are going to deepen their understanding. So knowing what the question you're going to ask is, and then knowing what the right answer, what you're trying to get the kids to, right? Like the most right answer. We just did a whole thing with our district about getting to the most right answer, right? That sometimes we're missing some academic vocabulary or something else that they can add to their answer to make it better. And so, like, those discussions is what changes just a regular art activity to something that will really deepen their understanding and help them understand that phenomenon more.
Yeah, and this is like across the board now. Like Heidi was just saying, it's in all of these different areas that are questioning and getting kids to discover things instead of like teaching it to them, right? And so science, this whole science discovery, this whole science journey has been a place of really emphasizing that to me. The science core is meant to question, ask kids to think about, discover, make just mistakes, how the mistakes inform their learning. And so as an arts integrator, that it's been really interesting that this science discovery has geared me towards that in all the different arts integration experiences. But for the arts experience to really align with the way science is meant to be taught, then the arts experience itself should be a form of questioning. So like I said, weathering, erosion, deposition, I teach it, and then I'm out the door. But instead now we question and we play and we wonder and we, I'm still getting there, but that's what I'm shooting for with it. So for example, are we going to finish at 11:25 or 11:30? Okay, then let's do one more dance thing.
Okay.
Because I brought the stuff. You guys, can you say I cleared out my storage closet for you all? Did you see that? I have like 2 carts of stuff I brought here. Okay, we're going to do magnetic forces and positive, negative particles. And before I would teach and I would tell them exactly how to do this, but now we just play with it a little bit, okay? So, doesn't matter the color doesn't matter, but these objects, they are attracted to each other, all right? And you can either hold them like this or like this as you move through the room. And these objects, it doesn't matter which color, they're attracted to each other, right? But these, any of these, any color, any of these, any color, they repel each other. So we're going to stay on this half of the gym and we're going to move. So all we're doing is walking. Walking, you can add a turn, you can add some fun things. When you get close to a like object, you can draw it together and you can decide how long to keep it together. There might be 3 or 4 that are pulled together. When you get close to an opposite object, you need to repel each other.
Opposites attract.
Do I have this totally wrong? It's been a long time since I've seen it. These attract to each other. These attract. I'm like, I didn't know that. I did. Can we delete that part of the video? Are we editing these at all? Okay. Oh my gosh. I love this woman. She's the one who's like, get out of the way on the screen. And she's like, you have that exactly wrong. You're right. These repel. These attract. Okay, and so we're going to keep moving through the room and see what happens with that. All right, everybody quickly find, oh no, stop. This half of the room, get this kind of object. This half of the room, get this kind of object. Spread yourselves out and let's wait for me to say go. Yeah, just one. One or the other. Oh no, please, so honest to goodness, thank you, I appreciate you. How sad that would have been for us to carry on like that. All right, wait for go. You did get one. All right, ready? Moving to the face, go. This move. And then you're paying attention. You can make contact or draw to each other. Draw to each other. Let's stay on this side of the room so that we can interact a little more. Ooh, it's touching people right around each other. Draw to each other. Ooh, repel. Draw to each other. Ooh, repel. Excellent. And ready, set, freeze. So instead of me saying, opposite forces, yada, we just play and then we stop and question and talk and ask about it. So this is feeding back into that how that we're trying to do with our arts experience. Give an opposite object a high five and go ahead and put it back and head back to your seats. You did great. That's a fun one though, isn't it? Super fun. And if you're actually teaching positive negative, you can actually put little positive negative signs if you're like super super committed to the object.
I was gonna say that kind of works with
Right. Right. So I won't go through these other ones, but you know, so many feet, we dance like the different animals, but then now I ask, why are their feet different before we dance about each animal? States of matter. Instead of saying, now we'll do this to represent liquid, now we'll do this to represent, etc., I would give them a groove, and I say, show me what a solid would look like in true movement. Show me what it would, and try to let them discover a little bit more. So, we'll tie this up here.
All right, do you have any questions for Melanie or I?
The last couple of minutes.
Just a thought on your rubber band one. I was thinking that would be perfect for teaching orbit and tragedy and apogee. You know, I think it'd be
That's
really
a
good.
fun one. Do you know axial locomotor also helps with rotation is axial and revolution is locomotor. That's another fun one. Along the same lines there, right? Yeah. I didn't think of that. Hang on to that idea. Should I credit you? Come give me your name after. Intellectual property. Any other questions before we tie up? I just want to.
Where'd you find elastics? Yeah.
Where to get elastics?
Yeah.
A Walmart online. So literally, you can buy those great big Lowe's elastic band, and then you just cut them and tie them in a knot. The fatter ones are a little bit harder to find, but they're more effective for force and motion. Lower grades use those a lot to make giant shapes, but they're kind of too big for that. But the other thing that works are Chinese jump ropes. Check with your PE tech and see if they have Chinese jump ropes in their closet. Those might break. They probably snap. Yeah, I take it back.
How far in advance do you do your planning to integrate arts? Like, you know, you do unit planning and stuff like that, but like, how often do you meet or like, you know, change things up? Or...
That's a great question. I will visit a school for 6 to 7 weeks, and during that time, we create a schedule in different ways. Sometimes.
When we did the weather unit together, we planned out what she was gonna do in a half hour. Like just during one of my planning times, we sat down and talked about like, this is what we're doing, and then she was like, okay, I'll go get my lessons ready, and then she had stuff. So like, it was only like a half hour.
We did meet and discuss that, that's exactly right. So when does that happen? Sometimes before school, after school, PLCs, lunch, a lot of lunch discussions. Ours was a little more in-depth, so we took some time and planned it. Sometimes teachers just sign up and say, do you have anything for this? And then I go find them and we talk about it. Sometimes they have ideas, and sometimes they say, I have a cool dance integrated lesson plan, will you come watch? That's so cool. Teachers do that.
Well, thank you all so
Thank you
much
so much.
for coming.
Give yourself
Have a good lunch.
Enjoy your lunch. Heck, we don't want to be the ones that send you to lunch late, so 11:29, get on out of here.